Hey guys, Erin here, and I am so excited to be here for Life Documented 2021. This is an amazing Facebook group that you can find down in the description box below, and I encourage everyone to go check them out. So today we are going to play with some watercolors. Now this is my watercolor journal. It's just a travel log. I have my watercolors. These are my favorites, the White Knights, but you use everything that you have on hand. I've got a watercolor brush here, a size 8 round, and then a regular Jetstream Uni ballpoint pen, and also a white gel pen, some graphite paper, or you can use a window or a light table to trace your artwork into your journal. And one last thing, a self-portrait. Yes, we are going to draw ourselves today and just kind of, get in touch with our inner child and play and have fun. So don't be scared. Let's jump in together. Now you're probably asking yourself, why is this so sped up, Erin? Well, I don't want to teach you how to draw me. I want you to draw you. And if that idea totally scares you, that is okay. Embrace it. Grab your portrait and hold it up against a window or use a tracing table and just trace it. Tracing is okay in the beginning. It helps you learn proportions and feel more confident about your lines. Remember, there are no rules when it comes to how you want to art. Just do what feels right for you and have fun doing it. So now I've got a ballpoint pen and I'm just going over the line work. This is the second time now that I have drawn these lines. The more familiar you get with the lines of your face, the more you start to embrace all of that. Now, I always start sketching on a scrap piece of paper and then I transfer it into my watercolor journal so I don't mess up the watercolor paper. You can use graphite paper or you could even use a tracing table, and I love the tracing table, but we'll get into that in a second. First, pens. I just grabbed a couple of pens off my desk to show you that some of them don't do well with watercolors, but like this Uniball Jetstream, I love it. It works amazing. You can also use markers if you like too, but I just love that I can get a different line weight with a ballpoint pen. I can push a little harder or I could do a little lighter and get more of that sketchy feel. I love faces so much and I'm super excited to be drawing faces with you guys today. This is like looking at a roadmap of yourself. Like all of these lines, they don't define you, but they express experiences that you've had in your journey thus far. So embrace that. Now that we have our portrait transferred to the watercolor paper, we are going to break out the colors. Now, use any color that calls to you. I recently went gray, so I'm going to embrace that by putting down a little bit of gray paint for my hair. This is my favorite part of the sketch because you have all these lines here, these sketchy lines, and it's kind of brings me back to my childhood, coloring in a coloring book. And I don't even have to color in the lines. As you can see, my paint is totally going all over the place. I'm making splashes, but I am enjoying the process. And that's what I encourage you to do too. Just have fun with it. So I gave myself a fun orange shirt, and now I'm going to mix up one of my favorite skin tone mixes, and that is some yellow ochre, some burnt sienna, and just a touch of ultramarine blue. You can make this darker skin, lighter skin. I add a little bit of water to water it down, and I started putting it in the shadows, and I thought, I'm just going to put a first layer all over my face. I'm leaving a little area of where those highlights are, but you can make it up as you go along. I have those lines that I added in, the sketchy lines, which look a little weird, but I love putting in where the shadows are on the face. It kind of gives the portrait like this paint by numbers feel, if you remember those. And then you don't have to look at the reference. You can just follow along your guide where those little sketchy marks are and use those for your shadows and your highlights.
Money gets you everything.
love. That is where it's at. So now I just have that same pen and I'm just doing a bunch of doodles. I've got the hearts and the sunglasses. I'm doing some little circles in my hair within the dark shadowed side, but just kind of get fun and creative. Here's a couple little doodly bop things here hanging in my hair. Yeah, just have fun with it. I used to be really scared about doing doodles. Like I'd paint a portrait and then I'd be like, I cannot put anything over top of this. What if I ruin it? And now it's like, let's push the limits and see what we can do. So I have the white gel pen here and I just did a couple of little scallopy lines in the shirt and then a few little marks in the hair. And then I thought it would be fun to just darken up some of those lines, create a little bit of interest in the sunglasses. I love contrast between lights and darks. I think it really makes it pop and it kind of pulls your eye in. So look at your portrait and see where you might be able to add, a couple of the really contrasting lights and darks. Another thing that I love to do that helps keep it loose and fun is to add splatters to the background. So here, I'm going to touch up the lip here, gotta love a red lip, add a little bit more color there, but I'm going to take that same hair color that I had and just put a bunch of splatters on the background. Now I'm going to wipe it off of the face. You can leave the splatters there if you like, but I'm just going to dab a little bit and then we'll call that good. Go ahead and dry it really well before we move on to the next step. So I grabbed one of my fountain pens. I do have a bit of an addiction for those. And I thought I would write my quote. I choose to love myself at every step of my journey, which I really think is what it's all about. Lord knows I've had a lot of hot mess days, and I've had some good days too. And I think that no matter what we're feeling at any moment, just allowing ourselves to be okay, feel into the moment, and love ourselves, that is where it's at. Now, granted, that's not always the easiest to do. I know this. But we just have to have a little bit of grace and some compassion for ourselves as much as we have grace and compassion for others. So I'm just going back over the love myself part, and then I'm taking the gel pen and I'm going to just give it a little bit of a shadow so it really highlights that part of the quote. One thing about documenting life, it's important to document yourself and some of those beautiful affirmations. So here I am just doodling a little border to kind of pull the whole piece together. And I thought, why not take that doodling a step further and do some dashes and some circles inside of those borders. Nothing new, but something fun to kind of keep that loose doodly feel. I want to thank Life Documented again for having me as a guest artist, and I cannot wait to see your self-portraits in the Facebook group. So be sure to tag me so I can see your beautiful artwork and lovely, gorgeous faces. Thank you guys so much again, and until next time, happy creating.